Apple has offered a new version of MDM into DDM. What is it? What's the difference? And what does it mean for Wi-Fi management? Anil Gupta from WiBot joins me on this bonus episode of The Business of Tech. Are your customers getting the most from their Microsoft 365 Business Premium subscriptions? Are you delivering maximum value while ensuring best-in-class margins? Nerdio's new modern work features let you streamline the management of Microsoft technologies like Azure Virtual Desktop, Windows 365, Intune, and Defender. Reduce the need for multiple tools, consolidate your vendor stack, and deliver greater value to your customers. Help your customers maximize their investments, free up your team for strategic tasks, and drive meaningful business outcomes. With Nerdio Manager for MSP, a single, flexible platform with mix and match plans ensures a flexible, perfect fit for you and your customers. Deliver solutions that achieve real business impact. Visit getnerdio.com to find out more. Well, Anil, thank you for joining me. I'm excited to have you on the show.
Great. Nice to meet you as well, Dave.
Now, you got my attention because you've been looking at Apple's Declarative Device Management. And this is a shift in the way that Apple is doing enterprise device management. Tell me a little bit about what this means and why people should care about the change here.
Yeah. So this all comes down to actually scale, So as you see, of course, everybody's using lots of Apple devices throughout, in their organizations. And as the number of devices grow, the dependency on a single server to be able to manage all of that just kind of grows out of bounds, So, and this paradigm actually applies to almost any IoT space, if you will, wherein if you look at the way kind of industry moved, way back, there used to be, the central kind of servers and dumb terminals. If you go way back, 20, 30, 40 years ago, and then the paradigm of individual compute devices, laptops, MacBooks, etc., emerged, right? So people figured out that centralized servers eventually can become a bottleneck, and then it should transfer the decision-making knowledge, all of that to an individual device. Pretty much the same concept has been applied to MDM and DDM. If you look at mobile device management, it was all about that, okay, the intelligence is going to be in one central place. I'm going to ask for your health status, every 10 minutes, every hour, once a day, whatever the case is. And then you're going to tell me that, and then I'm going to say, oh, go do this. And then you're going to go report back the results. You're going to say, yes, I received your command. Go ask me for stuff, And that, has many disadvantages in terms of it doesn't scale, because as the number of devices in the organization grows, it becomes challenging on a single MDM server to be able to handle all that. And it also creates a lot of network traffic as well, back and forth handshake going on and on. So the whole premise here is that if rather I can assume that you are an intelligent device person, and I just provide you everything that I got, and then you can go and take action on all of that intelligent information. So instead of me saying that, okay, I come to know that you are an iPad, and if you're version, X.Y, you should be doing this. But if you're an iPhone, then you're version A.B, you should be doing that. Rather, if I can just tell you all of that, you know who you are, and then you automatically apply those policies, rules, you evaluate certain predicates, and then you apply those things to yourself. And then you can simply report back the status to me instead of this back and forth handshake that we otherwise keep doing. So this paradigm, as a matter of fact, since I'm from WiBot, this is what we do for a living as well. We have WiBot Wi-Fi sensors, same thing, IoT technology, sensors. We pretty much use a similar methodology at a logical level, which is you empower the devices at the edge, to make decisions themselves. And then you do use some kind of assist from the cloud side. So we call it intelligence at the edge and intelligence in the cloud. And that allows you to scale almost infinitely. Now, while you do all of this, one very important aspect is that there must be, security has to be taken into account deeply. And there has to be like a chain of trust. I mean, starting from the initial device, the very first time the device comes up, it goes and checks in with some trusted body, which then may issue a certificate to the device, which it then uses to communicate. So all of that needs to be taken into account. But once you have this kind of an infrastructure in place, it really scales very, very well. So I'll just pause there, and since I went on a long streak.
You went right with a couple of the areas because you covered a little bit of the areas about the improved security and the reduced bandwidth usage, and I think I've got a good sense of how this is going. But what I'd actually like to understand a little bit more is, when you say things like an improved chain of security, I'm also then immediately questioning, okay, well, does this fit into a zero trust security model? Because in fact, I want to move to an architecture where I have less trust within the system and I'm doing more verifications across the process. Tell me about how this fits more into a zero trust security model.
Yeah, zero trust basically, I mean, what that means is like when the device begins its life, you don't assume that what they have. You start from something that was embedded, like when it starts kind of the hello message, to say, hey, you know, you don't just you say, okay, I'll tell you who I am first, and then I send in kind of my credentials to you in a way via a certificate. And if you believe or trust my certificate, then you say, here is who you are. And then if I see that whatever certificate has been generated, issued to you, has been generated by a trusted authority, then we continue the dialogue further. Otherwise, we immediately kill because there is some part of the chain that is broken. And that chain of trust, in a way, begins in some way from an IoT device perspective. Some of those things begin at the factory level in a way that when the device was manufactured, it was either built with a cert that can be trusted when you initially start the conversation. And certificates, at least as of the moment, are have not been considered to be broken and all of that. I mean, they is a considered part of the trusted chain. Yes, the encryption and all of that. I mean, what kind of key levels you're using. 2048, etc. I mean, that has changed or improved. But largely that model is very important. And then the other thing which goes alongside on the security path train is that one of the things that all of us have come to encounter, you're never trying to exchange passwords over the internet. You try to do that in such a way, such that no private secret key information or username passwords are exchanged over the air, but we use some kind of a token which is generated mathematically in such a way such that you and I arrive at the same conclusion eventually, and then we both know who we are and we can arrive without going deep into the math of all of that. That's for a security topic, detail, but essentially private information is never exchanged over the air, and then you can still arrive and trust each other and then continue from there on. So that's an important key aspect of, while we are trying to solve the scalability problem and performance issues as well, you do not and cannot in a way sacrifice security in any way. And you have to start by not assuming anything about that device, but say, okay, present to me who you are, and then I will see whether I want to take you on or not.
Now, obviously, you've been leaning into AI-driven network automation. So how do you see the combination of like DDM advancements and Wi-Fi automation impacting that ability to deliver more efficient networks?
Actually, very good question that you asked. So one of the things actually I would say DDM has solved, in a way which was kind of difficult with the with MDM in some ways is the fact that, for example, if you're trying to replace credentials, Wi-Fi credentials on a Apple device, Mac, iPhone, whatever, right? Now, the only way in a Mac, book will be able to communicate with the MDM server is over the Wi-Fi, over the, yes, wired as well, but okay, let's assume that Wi-Fi. Now, if it is connecting to the network, and if you want to, change the certificate on that, if you sent it a command to say, okay, delete this profile and add this new one, if it were to do one thing at a time, actually you would only go to step one, which is delete this profile, and after that you will never be able to send the second command to the device because it has lost the connection. Whereas with DDM, you can push the entire package to the device, and now it first validates that everything that is in the package is all correct, and then, because it is intelligent and not acting as a dumb device as part of the DDM protocol, it will then be able to delete the first one and then execute the second one. So therefore, in the Wi-Fi world, it is a huge improvement, in terms of you can, not only the scalability, the performance, but you can avoid some of these completely deadlock situations. Like when I say deadlock, you could end up in a situation where you've lost all communication, with all of your managed devices if you didn't execute in the past world properly. Whereas now with DDM, that becomes so much more easier.
Now, one of the things you're also leaning into at WiBot is you're known for leveraging AI in network automation. Like, how do you see AI evolving around network automation, and what capabilities are you thinking about as we move forward?
Yeah. So the thing with Wi-Fi, first of all, is, Wi-Fi has been a technology which has been in a good way evolving over the past 2 decades, with so many different, starting from speeds and feeds, then going to reliability, then going to efficiency, then going back to speed, with all these new standards, Wi-Fi 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6E, 7, 8 coming, and only becoming more complex. And one of the things about Wi-Fi also is that, luckily for us and maybe unluckily for others, is the expertise in Wi-Fi is very limited. And even today, if you look at the highest level of wireless certification, CWNE, there's, 500-600 people across the world, which means that the only way to solve Wi-Fi challenges in the field is either you are able to A, have the Wi-Fi expert, and B, be able to afford that Wi-Fi expert. And forget about the affordability part, there's not even exist. So the only solution, therefore, the entire industry has is you got to use some kind of automation. And that's where WiBot and many other companies also come into play, where you're trying to solve not only remote areas where not only you'll not be able to find, just going there, is very challenging. So that is what begs the solution that you need to use some kind of a AI based solution for automating, for scaling. Take, for example, since you work in the retail MSP space a lot, any organization, which we term as actually a distributed enterprise. Now, what is a distributed enterprise? Any organization, whether it is a bank, whether it's a retail store, whether it is a law practice, a medical practice, uh, any organization that has hundreds and thousands of locations throughout the country, throughout the world, it is next to impossible to send that half a dozen Wi-Fi people that your organization may be able to afford, if at best, if you can find them, to fly them all over the country, all over the world to go figure out Wi-Fi problems. So what you need, therefore, is a solution that you can very easily ship to a remote site, and it is so easy to use that your grandma could technically just, put that in the power plug and bingo, it works. And then you can troubleshoot, diagnose, look at user experience, all of that, for your network, for your Wi-Fi network and your wired network as well. As a matter of fact, we at WiBot, and many times I have used that, I say that we are the Apple of the Wi-Fi world, because Apple is heavily about simplicity. All they talk about is make sure that it's easy for users to use, and that is our mantra here at WiBot as well. As a matter of fact, another quote that I love from Steve Jobs, it is about difficult simplicity is harder than complex. It is more difficult to build a simple solution than to build a complex solution. And what we and WiBot have done is really focused on simplicity from the ground up, to make sure that the whole experience from the time you get the product to the time it is operational and in the cloud and being able to see all the results is just completely seamless.
Well, Anil Gupta is the co-founder and chief technology officer of WiBot, with over 25 years in the networking industry and a specialization in wireless technology. His extensive experience includes senior technical roles across both startups and large enterprises, with significant contributions to wireless communications, including 15 patents. Now, this has been fascinating. I learned a lot. If people are interested in learning more, where can they reach out?
You can simply go to our website, WiBot.com. If you have questions, there are links over there as well. You can request a demo of our solution. You can send an email to info@WiBot.com. So just visit the website and you'll find all the tools over there, to be able to get in touch with us. Yeah.
This has been great. Thanks for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
The Business of Tech is written and produced by me, Dave Sobel, under ethics guidelines posted at businessof.tech. If you've enjoyed the show, make sure you've subscribed or followed on your favorite platform. It's free and helps directly. Give us a review too. If you want to support the show, visit patreon.com/MSPradio and you'll get access to content early. Or buy our Why Do We Care merch at businessof.tech. Have a question you want answered? We take listener questions, send them in, ideally as a voice memo or video to question@mspradio.com. I answer listener questions live on our Wednesday live show on YouTube and LinkedIn. If you've got a comment or a thought on a story, put it in the comments if you're on YouTube, or reach out on LinkedIn if you're listening to the podcast. And if you want to advertise on the show, visit mspradio.com/engage. Once again, thanks for listening, and I will talk to you again on our next episode.
Part of the MSP Radio Network.